Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second, it makes a massive difference. I have a huge sore inside my mouth and it really makes it hard to do commentary, but I'm gonna power through this. But if you hear me sounding kind of weird, that would be why. So the Warriors and the Phoenix Suns just played, which is obviously significant because they're the two teams that are absolutely fucking killing it this year amongst a lot of teams that are otherwise struggling. So the two teams that have not only met but pretty strongly exceeded expectations facing off, and before this game the Warriors were 18-2 and the Suns were 17-3. Now both of these teams are 17-3 or 18-3 because the Phoenix Suns won, and they did this by locking up Stephen Curry. And the main proponent of that, of course, was Mikal Bridges, who got the matchup from the get-go. He just absolutely was all over anything Steph was trying to do. They were very aware of the off-ball action and tried to prevent that from happening. They were really just reading everything that the Warriors were trying to do to get Steph open, and when Steph actually had the ball in his hands, they were able to properly both not let him get space in the way that he does, but also cover the passing lanes and all that kind of stuff. Now, it wasn't just Mikal Bridges. As I mentioned, the scheme defensively really accommodated for Steph's strengths. And then there were a couple of times where DeAndre Ayton, who was fantastic in this game and probably the Suns' best player throughout the whole thing, he got switched on to Curry a couple of times, and he held his own extremely well. There was one possession where, you know, Steph had been struggling to score the whole game, so it was like, okay, he has Ayton on him now. Now is the time to attack. Tried to do so, kind of just dribbled around and did nothing, and then threw a pass to Draymond Green that got stole by Bridges. So very good defense played by the Phoenix Suns in this game. As it turns out, Steph Curry can have a bad game, because apparently that's a debate that people are having. Steph can have a bad game. What is considered a bad game is relative to what you expect from that player. So LeBron in 2011, definitely his numbers look good. Those are good numbers for a player to have. If you're not LeBron James, then we don't hold you to the expectations of LeBron James. Steph Curry can have bad games because Steph Curry is not always going to play as good as he is capable of playing, and that would make it a bad game. This is a fucking god-awful game for Steph because he went 4 for 21, which is 19% from the field, and 3 for 14 from 3 overall. Now, I will say, for the Warriors, I would take this, the one positive that I would take away from all of this is the fact that they managed to stay in a game with the Phoenix Suns where Steph Curry played as poorly as he did. And the reason for this is that Jordan Poole stepped the hell up. Otto Porter Jr. was really good off of the bench. Also worth mentioning that Andrew Wiggins did not play well, but he's also like kind of dealing with an injury, so we're not gonna knock him too much for that. But Gary Payton II was really damn good in the limited minutes that he got. Juan Toscano Anderson made a lot of very questionable plays, and he got 5 turnovers in 12 minutes as a result. After the video is not out yet, but I just did a video talking about the Warriors that comes out later this week where I praised him. Also just released a video on why Steph Curry is the best player in the world and he has the worst game of the season. So I'm absolutely a curse in that regard. But for the Warriors, the fact that you were able to hold your own in this game, and it was really a question who was going to win up until the last like 3 minutes of the game, and that was with Steph missing every damn shot that he took. With that being the case, I think you take it away as a positive, is if you don't have Steph Curry get shut down to this degree again, you probably win. That said, the Phoenix Suns also were without Devin Booker for the second half, so that kind of takes away from the positive on that end of things. But overall, I think the Warriors played about as good as they can play with Steph playing this awful. On Phoenix's end, offensively, Chris Paul had himself a pretty alright game. Once again, sometimes a little bit more passive with his own scoring than I would like, but ultimately he had a good game and went to his shots in the moments where it was appropriate, specifically in the fourth quarter. DeAndre Ayton, as I mentioned, best player in this game, as he had 24 and 11, played fantastic defense on the interior, and again, stepping up on Steph Curry. And then he also hit a couple of mid-range jump shots out of the post, which is really nice to see. Jay Crowder Crowder hit some big threes in the fourth quarter. Landry Shamet hit what was essentially the nail on the coffin three in the fourth quarter. Cam Johnson was fantastic this whole game. Really, the Phoenix Suns kind of have the dream wing rotation because they have Mikal Bridges, who right now all defensive team for sure, and then offensively he normally brings more than 2 points to the table, but I'm not going to give him shit for having 2 points in a game where he shut down Stephen Curry. But it's him. Then you have Jay Crowder, who's a really good 3-and-D player. His three ball is very inconsistent, but you get nights like this where he can go 4 for 9 from three, and that's very impactful. And then Cam Johnson is a good three-point shooter, but he's also a big forward who's capable defensively and getting a finish off of the dribble every once in a while. So their wing rotation is just fantastic. And then you have Chris, Devin, and DeAndre as your big three with that wing rotation. The Phoenix Suns are a very good roster. Don't know if you knew that. But yeah, that was fantastic. JaVale McGee had good minutes. And yeah, that's mostly what I have to say about Phoenix on offense. But, I also should mention for the Warriors, I think I did, Jordan Poole was electric in this game. 16 points in the first quarter. And then he kind of cooled down from there a bit, but he still finished with 28, so it's not like he was, playing bad. But he was really the one bright spot and the only reason that they were in this game to begin with. So as for what this could potentially mean for this matchup going forward, because of course these are the two best teams in the Western Conference, and a lot of people are expecting them to continue to be that, and perhaps we see them in a Western Conference Finals against each other. So as for, what I think this means for the future of this matchup, well, as I mentioned, the Warriors being in this game with Steph playing as bad as he was, good sign, but also you could argue on the other end with Phoenix, the fact that they were able to slow down Steph to the degree that they did, also a positive for them. Now, I will say, in defense of Steph, a handful of shots in this game that he normally would make, or, they're difficult shots that he typically makes, but it made it to where he couldn't really get any easy shots. But you also can play great defense on Steph the whole game, and he still torches you because he's Steph. So I wouldn't expect Steph to play this poorly again against this team. That said, Phoenix would have Devin Booker through the full game, at least hopefully, in a rematch. So I still think I would pick the Warriors to win that series regardless of this game. But at the same time, I think the Phoenix Suns showed that they were very well capable of playing defense to a degree that can bother Steph at the very least, even if it's not going to hold up to this degree. But with that said, I am releasing a video later this week on why I believe the Warriors are going to win the championship this year, and I still hold them as the best team in the conference. But the Phoenix Suns are a team that people really need to stop ignoring. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people criticize me for not talking about the Phoenix Suns, but really I feel like there just hasn't been a whole lot to say other than, yeah, the Phoenix Suns are really fucking good. It appears that some people just dismiss this team constantly, but for this team to have made the finals last year, made the finals legitimately, by the way, because if you want to make the injury argument with the Lakers, you could very easily say the Lakers shouldn't have been the 6th seed to begin with if injuries were not a factor. So that's a whole nother can of worms. But the team that made the finals last year clearly improved this offseason and has been even better this year. How do you ignore that team and say they're not a contender? Like, a finals team got better. They're a contender. That's the end of the conversation. So the Phoenix Suns cannot continue to ignore them. Ultimately, though, I still think the Warriors are going to end up being the better team and the team that escapes the Western Conference. But this game might have shaken my confidence in that a little bit. And Mikal Bridges absolutely deserves to make an all-defensive team. And honestly, he's all-defensive first team right now. That might change as the season progresses, but the guy is probably the best defensive wing in the game so far throughout this year. So shout out Mikal Bridges. Sorry, Warriors fans, for releasing a pro Steph video, because that obviously is the reason why he played this poorly. I'll just never do that again. But yeah, that's it. Goodbye.